Charlie and Grandad in Brexit. What's it all about? Part 2. Brexit, Brexiteers and Remainers. The people who want to leave the European Union, Charlie, say we would save lots of money, as we wouldn't have to pay subscriptions anymore. Well, that's true, isn't it, Grandad? Well, not really, Charlie. The money that each country pays to the EU is then spent on helping the poorer areas in each of the EU's 28 member countries. OK, Grandad, but what do we in the UK get from the EU? Well, the UK receives big donations to be spent on its poorer regions, such as Wales and Cornwall. The UK farmers also get a big slice of the cake from Brussels, and much, much, much more. So why does everybody want to leave the European Union if we will lose all these lovely benefits? Well, not everyone does, Charlie. In fact, people in the UK are almost equally divided between those who want to leave and those who want to remain. In 2016, people were given a vote. It was called a referendum. People voted as to whether they wanted to leave or remain in the EU. Oh, who won, Grandad? Well, the Brexiteers won, Charlie, by a tiny majority, 52%, and the Remainers, they had 48%. What happened then, Grandad? Well, the then Prime Minister, Mrs. May, had to tell the European Union that Britain no longer wanted to be a member of the club and wanted to use Article 50. What's Article 50, Grandad? It's the bit in the European Union rulebook, its posh name, the Treaty of Lisbon, that says if you want to leave the EU, you must send a letter by hand to the EU President. You can then leave at the end of 2 years after the letter has been delivered. And here you can see the UK ambassador handing the Article 50 letter to the President of the EU. Wow! So what happens then, Grandad? Well, Charlie, the letter was handed in to the EU on the 29th of March 2017. The clock started ticking, so 2 years later, on the 29th of March 2019, the UK should have been no longer a member of the EU. So why take 2 years to leave, if that's what people want, Grandad? Well, Charlie, the UK has been a member of the club for over 45 years. Once we're no longer members, we'll be on our own. Lots of things that we take for granted will change. What sort of things will change, Grandad? Well, a lot of people in the UK are worried about how it will work. For example, there's a list of a few of their concerns, and they include the way we buy things from other 27 countries in the EU, the way we sell things to them. It will be more difficult to travel to any of the EU countries. The cost of using our mobile phones when we travel will cost more. The laws that protect our protections at work, health and safety, will no longer apply. What will happen to people from the UK who now live in the other EU countries, or much, much more, Charlie? And people in the other 27 EU countries, well, they're worried too, Charlie. They want to know how it's going to affect them, how they'll be able to buy things that we in the UK make. sell things to us in the UK that they make? What will happen to the people from the EU who live in the UK? Oh, and again, much, much more. Is anyone getting any answers to all these questions, Grandad? Well, that's a good question, Charlie. Mrs. May, our Prime Minister, has been going to and from Brussels, the EU's headquarters, for the past 2 years, trying to get some answers. The idea is to have an agreement, people call it a deal, where we can still be friends when we leave the club on the 29th of March. That sounds like a good idea, Grandad. Get a good deal, everyone is happy, and we all remain good friends. But there is a problem, Charlie. No one seems to agree on what a good deal is. Why is that, Grandad? It sounds simple enough. Well, Charlie, the UK wants to leave the club, but it still wants to enjoy all the benefits of being in the club without paying a membership fee. On the other hand, the EU says that we can't expect to enjoy the benefits if we're no longer in the club and if we're not paying a membership fee. Oh my goodness, Grandad. So what happened next? Well, Charlie, there were lots of disagreements. One of the biggest disagreements between the UK and the EU was entry to the EU's market. Market? What's a market got to do with the EU? Well, Charlie, the EU market has everything to do with the EU. It's also got everything to do with Brexit, and I'll try and explain why in part 3.